Good day, YouTubers, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all around the world. We're starting on the gun port doors, hatches. What do you call them? Hatches? Hatches are on the deck. It flips up like a door, but it opens up instead of sideways like a door. And we got a whole bunch of them to make. So when you have a whole bunch of something to make, you have to manufacture a production line. And we're going to start with these two pieces of plank boards that were 5 millimeters wide by 1.5 millimeters thick, I think. And they're telling us to cut at 11 millimeters and then sand it down to make it 10 millimeters after you glue it together. So I cut a few, and I don't want to have to sand every one of them down other than knocking the burrs off. Taking a whole millimeter is a lot of work, so we're going to cut them at whatever the width is when the two boards are next to each other. It's supposed to be 5 millimeters wide, but you know how the stock comes in these kits. These are plank boards that we got left over here, and they're averaging about 5.15 or 1/8 millimeters. They're not very consistent, but they're definitely more than 5 millimeters. So what I'm doing is I set up a little jig here. You can see that jig that we use for doing the rat lines. Got a nice straight edge on one side of it, and we got it clamped to the cutting table. I don't have a miniature saw table, but this will work. I've done a lot of cutting with this thing. So we're ahead of time. We're pre-measuring what the thickness is of two boards that are pressed together. And it's about 1.2 millimeters, and then I'm making that clamp down at that distance. So when we get done cutting, we'll have a fairly square piece. Now, I started out, all these cuts here are done at the 11 millimeter mark, and I got to looking at the plans again. We're going to make them a square. We don't want to have to do a lot of sanding on them, so we're going to cut them at about 10.26 or 10.3 millimeters, so when they do glue together, they'll be square, and then we can just sand the burrs off of them. So I put some tape on here, so when I do cut through, the pieces aren't going to fall down inside the saw there, and you have to go digging them out. That way I can keep them up here on the deck. Then we'll just cut, go through them one at a time. going to be the shorter than the, you see that's a little shorter. That's what we want. So when we get two of those beside each other, we should have a square. And the more you look at stuff, the more you want to make sure. So the outer frame should be pretty close to all these. Yes, so that one's a little different. But the outer frame is 11.5 millimeters, plus or minus several. 11.7. So do we want to go by the inner opening instead of the outer, which is about 9 millimeters, plus or minus? And they should be square because we used the template that came with the kit to cut all the openings, and then we put them yellow frame boards in there. So I'm thinking that when they roll a cannon back and that door closes, it's probably gonna want to recess in there. When we look at this again, that's why we go back and forth to the plans a lot. After you glue those two pieces together and paint them, it wants us to take some thin plank boards, which was what we used on the outer skin of the hull for planking, and then cut them to 14 millimeters and glue them on the back of that painted 5 millimeter thick boards that are glued together. And they're doing a sloppy cut and then sanding the thing off to make it square, so you've got a little lip hanging over. So that tells me I want to make the first two pieces the size of the inside of the opening. No, that's what I was thinking, that you would close it and then this would recess into that frame. But no, because they've got a decoration on the blue side, which was what I was thinking was the back. And then they're painting the other side of the thin boards with the blue paint again and putting hinges on it. So we don't want to do it that way. We want to do it where the decoration, I don't get it. This is what shows when it's closed. No, that's got to be what shows when it's closed, the decoration. Let's go to the next page. Yeah, they're showing the hook with the wire and the eyelet and the hinge on the back. Yeah, there's a picture there of a cannon door mounted and open, and the decoration is showing on the inside. So we do want to do it like we were talking about at first. We want to cut those pieces that we're looking at now on the saw table to the inside opening of the frame boards. And then the thinner planks will let overhang to whatever the dimension of the outside dimension of the frame board of the opening. And that frame board borders the opening. So we want to make the second set of cuts to match the outer dimensions of the frame of the opening. So as you can see, not only do we have a lot of precise cutting to do, but we have to do it 62 times 2 boards each. It's going to be 124 times another 2 boards each. Yeah, we're up there several hundred cuts before we can even glue something together, because we want to do all that in a production format, get them all cut and shaped to the right size, and then we glue them up in pairs, the thicker ones and the thinner ones. Yeah, I think these are 1.5 millimeters. Yeah, and there's the thinner ones there. They're real thin. They'll be a little easier to glue up, and I may have to look at different way to produce these also. I might just, like they were showing, cut them so they're a little bit longer, and then snip them off with the shears at the right length. I don't know if it's going to work all that, because once you glue them on there, you want them to be done other than painting. These are going to be a little trickier too, I don't know. So that's what I'm in for this week, and as I can estimate, we're not going to get those done. I am going to cut away and cut away and cut away and see if I can get them all cut, and maybe have some stuff glued up. But in the meantime, let me show you what else I've been working on. I got the laser engraver moved out of here and into my wife's shed. I had it in here so I could set it up for her, and now she's got it set up and ready to run. My son-in-law provided us with a screaming PC to run this thing, so I got all the software installed and everything is operational. I did a test burn just to make sure it would burn, but that's a laser cutter. This was some of the testing I did in my shed, and I actually burned right through the board because I slowed the speed way down. But yeah, it will cut right through wood, just like the laser cut pieces we get in the kit. So what else have I been doing? Yes, if you've been following the channel and watching videos the last few weeks, you'll know that I'm working on this stone veneer finish on the front of the house, and I got about halfway, minus these ends here. Yeah, I got to grout. Once I grout, it'll fill in them openings in between the tiles, because the tiles are not normal. They are a puzzle, tile puzzle. Then we'll put a capstone on there. I raised out this windowsill, put the thin set on that to match the other windowsill, because this house had all the windowsills messed up on this side of the house. So we got all the way down to the main entrance to the house, minus those end cuts. So now once we do those end cuts around the front door, And then we got this here, and it wraps around all the way to the squirrels are busy getting nuts for winter time. They don't want to be without food when it comes time to get cold here. So they're all over the front yard working it hard, getting acorns and stuff and burying them out of these oak trees. So you can see where it's going to wrap around to where the gate is and stop. This is a concrete board, fairly thick. Makes a good bonding surface for this tile and thin set mud. That's an example of one of the cuts that I have to do. You know, for a bottom or a top. These will be a side cut. And I'm going to put a little thin row in there. So let's check out the chickens while we're running around, and then we'll start cutting some wood. I startled her. Uh-oh. Hello? Can I check and see if there's any eggs in here? Oh yeah. Thank you. One of them, I think. Yeah, the lighter colored ones are from the big red chickens, and the darker ones are from the black chickens. Thank you. So let's get to cutting. I'm going to recheck my measurements before I cut. You know, measure twice, cut once. Or in this case, I'm measuring twice and cutting like 250 times. Okay, so you just saw me sanding them up. And now I'm picking ones that fit together good. $120. You gotta get a half a millimeter here, a millimeter there. I just got a little bit of tight bond wood glue in the little container there. Mashing them babies up. And I'm working on some wax paper here. 62. Yeah, we got a 124 of these. Then we'll have 124 of the thin ones. I think I'm going to use just a pair of KitchenAid shears to cut the thin ones. I might do it like they showed on the plans, just glue them on there sloppy and then cut them off with the shears if I can see it right. Sometimes you can't get the shears in there to see it right. So we got to glue up 124 of these to get 62 pairs. Get just the right amount on there so you don't get too much squeeze out. And then try to move them away. This has got the parchment paper underneath me here, so as these dry I won't have to worry about them sticking, especially once I break them loose. And then I'm using this little thing to wipe the excess glue off of there. So I'm not going to torture you with 124 of these. Like I said, we got 248 boards all together to cut, sand, and glue together, paint. Get a neighbor over there mowing grass, I think. Okay, we got them all glued up and sanded. I'll probably have to do a little more touch up on them, but got a few extras. That's 62, 10, 20, no, 20, 40, 60, 2, 4, 6. So I got 5 extras. You always make extra because you never know. Things line up right. Had plenty to choose from to get them to line up. So after that dries, I'll paint them on one side, and then we'll do the little teeny boards. I'm not sure how I'm going to do these yet. I might just take ahead of time and cut a whole bunch with the scissors, and then glue them on and paint them. So we're going to repeat the same process all over again. But I made it through the arduous task there. Thanks for watching.